Genesis chapter 17. When Abram was 99 years old, Adonai appeared to Abram and he said to him, I am El Shaddai. Continually walk before me and you will be blameless. My heart's desire is to make my covenant between me and you, and then I will multiply you exceedingly much. Abram fell on his face, and God spoke with him, saying, For my part, because my covenant is with you, you will be the father of a multitude of nations. No longer will your name be Abram, but your name will be Abraham, because I make you the father of a multitude of nations. Yes, I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make you into nations, and kings will come forth from you. Yes, I will establish my covenant between me and you and your seed after you throughout their generations for an everlasting covenant, in order to be your God and your seed's God after you. I will give to you and to your seed after you the land where you are an outsider, the whole land of Canaan, as an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. God also said to Abram, As for you, my covenant you must keep, you and your seed after you throughout their generations. This is my covenant that you must keep between me and you and your seed after you. All your males must be circumcised. You must be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin, and this will become a sign of the covenant between me and you. Also, your 8 days olds must be circumcised, every male throughout your generations, including a house-born slave or a slave bought with money from any foreigner who is not of your seed. Your house-born slave and your merchant and your purchased slave must surely be circumcised, so my covenant will be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. But the uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that person will be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. God also said to Abraham, As for Sarai your wife, you shall not call her by the name Sarai. Rather, Sarah is her name. And I will bless her, and moreover I will give you a son from her. I will bless her, and she will give rise to nations. Kings of the peoples will come from her. Then Abram fell on his face and laughed, and said to his heart, Will a son be born to 100-year-old man, or will Sarah, who is 90-year-old, give birth? So Abram said to God, If only Ishmael might live before you. But God said, On the contrary, Sarah, your wife, will bear you a son, and you must name him Isaac. So I will confirm my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his seed after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. See, I have blessed him, and I will make him fruitful, and I will multiply him very, very much. He will father 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you at this set time next year. When he finished speaking with him, God went up from Abraham. Then Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all of his house-born slaves and all his purchased slaves, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and he circumcised the flesh of their foreskin to this very same day, just as God has spoken with him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, and his son Ishmael was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. On this very same day, Abraham and Ishmael his son was circumcised. Also all the men of his house, house-born slaves and slaves purchased from a foreigner, were circumcised with him. Chapter 18. Then Adonai appeared to him at Mamre's large trees while he was sitting in the entrance of his tent during the heat of the day. When he lifted up his eyes to see, suddenly 3 men were standing right by him. When he saw them, he ran from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed down to the ground. Then he said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in your eyes, please do not pass by your servant. Please let a little water be brought so you can wash your feet and make yourselves comfortable under the tree, and let me bring a bit of bread so that you can refresh yourselves. Then you can pass on, since you have passed by your servant." They said, "Do just as you have said." So Abram hurried into the tent to Sarah and said, "Quick, knead 3 measures of fine flour and prepare bread loaves." Then to the herd of Abraham ran and took a young ox, tender and good, and he gave it to the servant, who prepared it quickly. Then he took butter and milk and the young ox that he had prepared and set it before them. While he was standing by them under the tree, they ate. Then they said to him, "Where is Sarah, your wife?" "There in the tent," he said. Then he said, "I will most surely return to you in about a year's time. Surprisingly, Sarah, your wife, will have a son." Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in years. Sarah had stopped having the way of woman. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, "After I've grown decrepit, can I have desire, and my Lord so old?" Then Adonai said to Abraham, "Why is it that Sarah laughed, saying, 'Can I really give birth when I am so old?' Is anything too difficult for Adonai? At the appointed time I will return to you in about a year, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah denied it, saying, "I didn't laugh," for she was afraid. But he said, "No, for you did laugh." Then the men got up from there and looked down over Sodom. Abraham was walking with them to send them off when Adonai said, "Should I keep secrets from Abraham what I am about to do, seeing that Abraham will most certainly become a great and mighty nation, and in him all the nations of the earth will be blessed? For I have made myself known to him, so that he will command his sons and his household after him to keep the way of Adonai by doing righteousness and justice, so that Adonai may bring upon Abraham what he has spoken about him." Then Adonai said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great indeed, and their sin is very grievous indeed. I want to go down now and see if they deserve destruction, and its outcry has come to me. And if not, I will know." Then the men turned from there and went towards Sodom, but Abraham was still standing before Adonai. Abraham drew near and said, "Will you really sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city. Will you really sweep away and not spare the place for the sake of 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to cause the righteous to die with the wicked, so that the righteous and the wicked share the same fate. Far be it from you. Shall the judge of the whole world not exercise justice?" Then Adonai said, "If I find in Sodom 50 righteous people within the city, I will spare the whole place for their sake." Then Abraham answered and said, "Look, pray, I have decided to speak to my Lord, though I am dust and ashes. Suppose the 50 righteous people are lacking 5. Will you destroy the whole city for lack of 5? And he said, "I will not destroy it if I find 45 there." So he spoke to him yet again and said, "Perhaps 40 will be found there." And he said, "I will not do it for the sake of the 40. Then he said, "Please let my Lord not be angry, so I may speak. Perhaps 30 will be found there." And he said, "I will not do it if I find 30 there." Then he said, "Look, pray, I have decided to speak to my Lord. Perhaps 20 will be found there." And he said, "I will not destroy it for the sake of the 20. Then he said, "Please let my Lord be angry. Let not my Lord be angry, so I may speak once more. Perhaps 10 will be found there." And he said, "I will not destroy it for the sake of the 10. Now when he had finished speaking to Abraham, Adonai left, and Abraham returned to his place. Chapter 19. Now the 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, while Lot was sitting at the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. Then he said, "Here, please, my lords, Please turn aside to your servant's house, spend the night, and wash your feet. Then you can get up early and go on your way." But they said, "No, we will spend the night in the open plaza." But he urged them strongly, so they turned aside to him, and they came into his house. He prepared a feast for them and baked matzot, and they ate. They had not yet lain down when the men of the city, the men of Sodom, surrounded the house, from youth to elderly, all the people without exception. And they called out to Lot and said to him, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have relations with them." But Lot went out to them at the doorway and shut the door behind him and said, "Please, my brothers, don't act wickedly. Look, I have 2 daughters who haven't been intimate with a man. Please let me bring them out to you to do to them whatever is good in your eyes. However, do nothing to these men, since they have come under the protection of my roof." "Get out of the way," they said, and they said, "This one came as an outsider and dares to judge. Now we'll treat you worse than them." So they strongly pressed against the man Lot and moved in close to break the door down. But the men reached out their hands and brought Lot into the house with them and shut the door. Then they struck the men at the doorway of the house with blindness, from youth to elderly, so that they gave up trying to find the doorway. Then the men said to Lot, "Who else related to you is still here? A son-in-law, your sons and your daughters, whoever else is related to you in the city, bring them out of the place, for we are about to destroy this place, because your outcry has become so great before Adonai that Adonai has sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who were going to marry his daughters. "Get up," he said, "get out of this place, for Adonai is about to destroy the city." But in the eyes of his sons-in-law, he was like a joker. So when morning dawned, the angels rushed Lot, saying, "Get up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are there, or else you will be swept away with the city's iniquity." But he hesitated. So the men grabbed his hand, his father's hand, and his 2 daughters' hands, because of Adonai's compassion for him, and they brought him out and left him outside the city. When they brought them outside, one said, "Flee for your life. Do not look back behind you, and do not stop anywhere in the surrounding area. Escape to the hills, or else you will be swept away." But Lot said to them, "No, my lord, please look, please, your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have magnified your merciful loyalty, which you have shown me by letting me live. But I can't escape to the hill country, for the disaster will overtake me, and I'll die. Look, please, the city is close enough to flee there, and it's little. Please let me escape there. Isn't it small? And let me live." So he said to him, "Behold, I will grant your request concerning this matter too, not to demolish the city of which you have spoken. Hurry, flee to safety there, because I cannot do anything until you arrive there." This is why the town is named Zoar. The moment the sun rose upon the land, Lot entered Zoar, and Adonai rained sulfur and fire upon Sodom and Gomorrah from Adonai out of the sky. So he demolished those cities and the whole surrounding area, all the inhabitants of the cities and the vegetations of the ground. But his wife looked behind him, and she turned into a pillar of salt. Now Abram rose early in the morning to the place where he had stood before Adonai, and he looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward the entire land of the surrounding area, and saw, behold, the smoke of the land ascended like smoke from a furnace. So it was, as God destroyed the cities of the surrounding area, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the upheaval, when he demolished the cities where Lot had dwelt. Then Lot went up from Zoar and dwelt on the mountain, his 2 daughters with him, because he was afraid to dwell in Zoar. So he lived in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. Then the firstborn said to the younger, Our father is old, and there's no man in the land to come to us, as is the custom of the whole land. Come on, let's make our father drink wine, so that we can lie with him and keep the seed from our father alive. So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn came and lay down with her father. Yet he did not know that she lay down and got up. On the following day, the firstborn said to the younger, See, I slept with my father last night. Let's make him drink wine tonight as well. Come on, sleep with him so that we'll keep the seed from our father alive. So they made their father drink wine that night as well, and the younger got up and lay down with him, and he did not know that she lay down and got up. So Lot's 2 daughters become pregnant by their father. Then the firstborn gave birth to a son and named him Moab. He is the ancestor of the Moabites to this day. The younger also gave birth to a son and named him Ben-Ami. He is the ancestor of the sons of Ammon to this day. Chapter 20. Then Abraham journeyed from there to the land of the Negev and settled between Kadesh and Shur. While he was dwelling as an outsider in Gerar, Abraham said of Sarah his wife, She is my sister. So King Abimelech of Gerar sent for and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream at night and said to him, Behold, you are as good as dead, because of the woman whom you have taken, since she is a married woman. Now Abimelech had not come near her. So he said, My lord, will you slay a nation even though innocent? Didn't he say to me, She's my sister? And she herself even said, He is my brother. I did this with integrity of my heart and guiltlessness of my hand. Then God said to him in a dream, Yes, I myself knew that you did this with integrity of your heart, so I myself prevented you from sinning against me. That is why I did not allow you to touch her. So now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and let him pray for you, and you will live. But if you do not return her, know that you will surely die, you and all who are yours. Abimelech rose early in the morning, called all his servants, and spoke all these words in their ears, and the men were very terrified, very frightened. Then Abimelech called to Abraham and said to him, What have you done to us, and how have I sinned against you, that you brought great sin upon me and my kingdom? You've done to me the things that should not be done. Abimelech also said to Abraham, What motivated you to do this thing? Abraham said, Because I thought there is certainly no fear of God in this place, so they'll kill me because of my wife. And besides, she really is my sister. She's my father's daughter, though not my mother's daughter. Then she became my wife. So when God made me wander away from my father's house, I said to her, This is your loyalty that you must show to me. In every place we go, say of me, He is my brother. Then Abimelech took sheep, cattle, male slaves and female slaves, and gave them to Abraham, and returned his wife Sarah to him. Then Abimelech said, Look, my land is before you. Dwell wherever it pleases you. At the same time he said to Sarah, Look, I've given 1,000 shekels to your brother. Look, it is compensation for everything that happened. So to everyone with you, you are vindicated. Then Abram prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife and his female slaves, so that they could bear children. For Adonai had completely locked up every womb in Abimelech's household because of Sarah, Abram's wife.